Ah, dear listeners, it finally happened. Pete decided to acquiesce and let me host the Rebel Rundown. And I want you to know that that's the polite version of the opening. I was going to do The Rock has returned to, but I was like, nah, it's a little over the top. But this is a Rebel Rundown. Rebel as in the rebellion, as in Star Wars. And, Pete has a warm spot in his heart for Star Wars in general, but specifically for one character who that I've always personally found to be very problematic, but Pete doesn't feel so, and that's Lando
wait,
Calrissian.
wait, wait a minute. I didn't say Lando wasn't problematic. I just
Oh,
am saying, like, Lando's a mess. Lando's messy. I mean, Han Solo's messy. Look, our favorite characters in Star Wars are often messy. And Lando, like we meet him in Empire Strikes Back, and he's like Han Solo, but like if Han Solo wasn't a hero, and like if he was like he's like the flip side of Han, somewhere in the middle, somewhere in the morally gray area, right? No,
Lando is Han Solo with business sense, because
that's well said. That's my
Han's always broke. That's the
yeah.
problem.
But that's part of my point is that like that idea of like Lando to me is false because not only does he have good business sense, but I will argue that Lando is as much a hero as anybody in that movie in Empire Strikes Back. Talking about don't trust Lando, don't trust Lando. Like there's a lot of people who live on Cloud City who would absolutely trust Lando because he kept them alive even when Darth Vader showed up and made all kinds of fuss. So
I know.
that is my whole point is that
Okay.
Lando is a bigger hero and doesn't get his due in Empire from
Okay.
anybody.
I want to hear this whole argument. So I'm just going to stop talking and let you go. I'm just going to offer the following. If you get choked out by a Wookiee behind the stuff that you did, you probably were on the bad side. Like, have we ever
Oh,
really
oh!
have hold on,
If
hold on,
you
hold on, no, let me finish. Have we ever seen a Wookiee? Have we ever seen a Wookiee choke somebody who didn't have it coming in a Star Wars movie? There have no Wookiee has ever strangled an innocent person. Besides,
we hear the first thing we hear about Wookiees is that they are such sore losers at chess that they will rip somebody's arms off. So I don't want to hear that. But I will tell you this, I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to tell you that if someone's getting choked out by a Wookiee, you would think the last thing they want to do is to still try with their last dying breath to help save that Wookiee's best friend. Wookiee's choking out Lando, and what's Lando trying to do? Hey, there's still a chance to save Han. Exact words. So I'll start off. There's that narrative that Han Solo is betrayed by Lando, tortured by Darth Vader, tossed in a cell at Clown City, given a quick, thumping by Lando's guards. And then it's like you're a real hero, and you know what? He is a real hero, and I'll tell you why. Lando, first of all, as portrayed by Billy D. Williams, who is just a freaking, it was like he was born for that role. I will say he's one of the biggest heroes in the movie. I see your face.
because I could
All right.
because I could tell you as a young black kid when I saw Empire Strikes Back, I was like, I've waited my whole life for a black person to be in Star Wars, and of course, the first time I get one, he's got to be a grifter.
Oh, I get it. What George Lucas decided to do with Lando Calrissian as a character, all of that aside, my whole thing is when we meet
Right,
Lando, he's running a mining operation. He's a responsible businessman. That's what
right.
Han's saying. Lando has cleaned up his act. He might be a scoundrel. So too is Han. Lando has cleaned up his act in a different way. Han's with the rebellion, but Lando isn't like scoundreling anymore. They've both grown up. He's responsible for like the livelihoods of like hundreds, if not thousands of people at the Tabana gas mine. And he's got his assistant. He's got one of the coolest assistants. Look, Han's got Chewie. You can't beat that. But Lobot is a personal favorite of mine. So obviously we find out, Lando's covering something up, and that something up is that, Vader is in town and Boba Fett is around. They're going to use Han to lure Luke to Bespin. And Lando has been entrusted with everyone who's not Luke to keep them safe, but they can't leave the station. So what happens? Han Solo shows up out of the blue, like needing a couch to crash on and someone to fix his ship. Why? Because he's gone, toe to toe with the Star Destroyer and is trying to get away from the Empire. And we hate the Empire, but when the Empire shows up on your front lawn, I just got through watching so much Star Wars this past month, especially over May the 4th weekend. And I'm telling you, a Star Destroyer shows up in your town, and you're just like, you're just trying to get out of there. And here's Han Solo bringing all that trouble to Lando's doorstep, and then needs a couch to sleep on. It's too late. By the time Han arrives, there's no betrayal. Vader is already there when Han shows up. It's too late.
Wait.
The cops are in the house.
Wait, this is my central problem with your entire thesis. Mm-hmm. There ain't no text messages. You can't send a quiet message on encrypted comms. Hey,
that is a very good point.
Hey, Han,
that is a very good point.
I'm using one of the old smugglers codes. The Empire's already here. Be on your P's and Q's.
Ooh. Yeah, he might try to get his ships to fire at Han to chase him off so that he doesn't try to land like he does. That's exactly what Lando does. Those ships shoot at Han Solo, and he's still trying to land. And then what happens? He's acting weird. He's trying to chase Han Solo off. That's the best I got for you.
Okay, Pete. Either Lando is a snitch or a sellout. It's one. Now he cleans it up, but it's like you're not going to.
He doesn't just clean it up. This is where I'm going. So he's too late. This is Darth Vader. No one messes with Darth Vader. We see in this movie Darth Vader kills his own men, admirals. Just chokes them out.
Okay, yes. So with that idea, why would any rational human being cut a deal with Darth Vader? Because the whole galaxy knows that Vader has a disturbing. I'm just saying I don't understand the logic of. Okay, I'm just working with Vader, and then I'm going to turn around and be like, "Hey, I've got a problem with the deal, this bargain that we've made." What
are you talking about? My whole thing is you don't get to bargain with Vader. Vader shows up. And he's like, I'm going to do this thing. And if you don't like it, everyone dies. It's not just Vader. He has a Star Destroyer up there and all these stormtroopers. And he's like, he didn't ask Lando if he politely, if he could hang out in their little banquet room and set a trap for Han Solo. He didn't ask that. He's Darth Vader. I've never seen anyone square up to Darth Vader. Oh, snap. Except Lando Calrissian twice gets up in Darth's face and is like, hey, this isn't the deal that we had. You said these people would be safe. The safety of other people. Just like the other people he tries to evacuate from Cloud City to keep them safe. So even though he didn't have a choice, when he does have a choice, he constantly gets in the face of Darth Vader to keep other people safe. When he has the chance, he frees them. The first chance he gets, he frees them. He stops his own man who gets punched in the face by Han Solo, a dude he hasn't seen in years. His own guy gets punched in the face, and who does Lando stop from being violent? His people. At every turn, Lando is he is scheming and plotting. What? For an out. Because the first chance they get, he activates Lobot. Lobot helps them free Chewie. And Chewie's mad. So what does he do? He chokes out Lando. And what's Lando doing the entire time? If you want to know why Han Solo had to be in carbonite for 2 years, it's because instead of letting Lando show them where Han is and catching up to Boba Fett before that ship takes off, we watch him choke Lando for a good 30 seconds while Lando screams, "You're a piece of garbage and I hope you die." Just kidding. No, he's still screaming, "Han, there's still a chance to save Han." Okay.
And
then they go and try to save Han. And guess how many seconds they are late?
Yeah, they'll date by about 3 seconds. Now that I've heard your arguments, counsel, if I watch my friend, who I have a life bond with, get tortured, not for the purposes of information, to get tortured just to be able to put enough bad feelings out in the force so that Luke knows, hey, my friends are in danger. And then I see you again. I think choking you is the rational thing. Like somehow you're responsible for C-3PO getting jacked up. Princess is incarcerated. Ron, Han's in carbonite, and they're talking. And let's not forget what the Empire does to Wookiees. So it's not like Chewbacca's got a bright future lined up for him under the current situation. Lando is 100% chokeable. Now, I will give you credit for the fact that he tries to clean it up, and we all know what he does in Return to the Jedi, and it cleans the palate because he gets Han back. But in terms of Lando's behavior on Cloud City, there's only one thing I find excusable out of all that. You know what it is? His cape.
Hell.
His cape. His the unnecessary cape that doesn't clasp onto anything, but it's got that wonderful James Brown thing where he just flips it around and how it's shimmering blue on one side and black on the inside. That when I was a kid with the Lando
Awesome
Calrissian action figure, the cape is dope. As a matter of fact, shit. I would argue that Lando's cape is better than Vader's cape, and those are like, and that means it's Lando, Vader, Dooku,
Ooh,
Anakin. Anakin. That's it. That's it for okay. I guess Mace Windu at the beginning of Attack of the beginning of the fight on Geonosis and Attack of the Clones. But beside the cape, what I will say about Lando, look, yes, you're right. He was an administrator of a facility. Yes, we know the Empire goes hard. This is post Alderaan. Everybody knows when the Empire shows up. The Empire is to disproportionate force what the United States is to the rest of the world. You throw a rock at the Empire eliminates your continent. That's how they get down. So I understand the tremendous amount of pressure that your boy Lando was on, and I understand that he was an impossible situation, and that he made the best calls that he possibly could. But it's like you're not really a sellout, but you weren't 100% helpful the whole time either. So it's like it's this in between. So it's like how about you go almost get killed by a Sarlacc and then I'll forgive you.
Fair. I agree with you, but that's why I think it has taken like 30 years of, introspection to look and be like, wait a minute. Because I'm like, it's not just that. There are some people. Look, you and I are not young men. We lived our lives. And if there was like somebody who showed up at your front door, you, a father, me, like we have our families, we have our homes, we have our stability and our jobs and things we didn't sell out. We worked hard to get these things. When somebody you used to, go wild with when you were 25 shows up on your front door and is like, hey, I need to hide out in your house for a while.
Pete, you might not be aware of this, but I'm African American. Under this scenario, these are my exact statements. The police were just here looking for you. You better run.
But I'm not bringing you in. All right.
Okay, so, I'm not bringing you into the house, but at the minimum, when you when I see you pulling up the driveway, which is the Cloud City fly-in, that is my moment to tell you, I don't know what you came here for, but there's some people here looking for you. You might want to make a different decision, but if you land, you know what's going on.
I can only assume that the fighters shooting, the little twin cockpit thingies, were being rude to Han as Lando's best way. Maybe he was being monitored. Maybe his comms were being monitored. I don't have a good excuse for that, and I get the difference. As soon as I said it, all right.
But you know what? I am genuinely not mad at your argument. I think your argument it does carry a legitimate weight. For the record, the Cloud City police cars, one of my favorite toys to play with as a kid. Just had to put that in as an asterisk. So
look, they were like the only thing that was that color, and that was kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, that brownish red. Yeah. I will give you. I'm willing to acquiesce and cooperate with everything you said, with the exception of one thing. Lobot always sucked.
Oh,
Lobot always sucked. When I got him as a
I
when I got
can't.
him as when I got him as an action figure as a kid, I can tell you that's the only time I ever had a response to a Star Wars action figure of the. Do y'all not know what I like? Like you could have gotten me a Gamorrean. I could have you could have gotten me anything else. I was like, hell, you could have gotten me another Luke or Vader. You know, I've already lost the little extendable lightsaber that was in his arm. But no, you went and got me Lobot, and so now my joy is I have a speechless character who is either a robot or has the personality of one. Who my enduring memory of is him taking the pistols, the rifles from the stormtroopers, and Lando telling him, "Tell everybody to evacuate, keep it quiet."
And keep it quiet.
Right.
Okay, you know what it is? He does a really cool about face. Or
Oh
he like
shit!
directs the. I don't know what it is. I thought it was kind of cool. Like, is he a cyborg? Is he a thing? His silence,
You know what,
it
Pete?
is a little bit ruined by his outfit, which is just terrible.
Yes, I mean,
It's
as a
like
matter of
it's
fact,
like Austin Powers disco wear. But
oh no, it's worse than that. It looks like something that somebody on the crew of the original Alien movie would be wearing. You'd expect the android to be wearing that outfit.
like you don't know if it's a uniform or pajamas.
You don't know whether it's a uniform or whether it's a commercial wrapper that he was, like that he came out the package like that. Um, I, I don't. But I mean, look, if you're gonna give me Lando's cape, then I will give you Lobot, and then I think that at that point we just have to settle it.
I feel
So
like I'm a win here.
well, I mean, Pete has made his argument that Lando Calrissian is ultimately, a tragic figure forced into circumstances incredibly beyond his control that necessitated a temporary betrayal of his friends to actually save their lives, and then to later on to facilitate their escape. That's the charitable view of Lando, and I will accept that. There's also the possibility that Lando has a little to avoid using any racial epithets that would be considered offensive. I would say he's got a little Stefan from Django Unchained in him, a little bit.
I will just say, if he's complicit, he finds a weird way of doing it because he gets in Vader's face, and he is constantly undermining this whole thing that's happening. I feel like he's a little flippant towards our man C-3PO, which is, kind of unnecessary. And I don't know what he thought he was going to, what he was going to accomplish by hitting on Leia the entire time. But, I just think, I will just say that he is not only an understandable figure in Empire, but for the time that we see him in Empire, he is a damn hero. Because if he's not trying to save these people who hate him, despite the fact that they hate him, he is also trying to save the lives of thousands of other people who were put in danger the second Han Solo decided to go to Cloud City. Han Solo, who could have paid off Jabba the Hutt.
No, he couldn't have. Han still didn't have the money at the beginning of Empire. He couldn't pay Jabba back. That's why he was was going to go get more money to go pay Jabba.
What did he do with the reward he got in the New Hope?
Now that we have questions about
debts to pay with this sort of thing.
Now that we've got questions about canon, I guess I'll have to go pick up a Marvel comic book to figure out what did he do with the money, because nobody bothers to explain anything anymore. I'm not going to get into ultimately a debate about the morality of a character that has sex with robots.
Oh, we don't know that.
It was made pretty clear in Solo.
It was implied that it worked.
Okay.
She said that there was unrequited feelings there that he had that she didn't have. Which we have no confirmation that was true.
Well, I'll just say this: one, this entire conversation puts Lobot into a completely different light, and maybe that explains the reason why Lando doesn't have a love interest, because Lobot is his love interest, and that's why maybe he was off doing Cloud City stuff in Return of the Jedi, and that's why we didn't see him. But nevertheless, fine. Pete wins. I will give Pete his W. Because, yes, I think ultimately Lando, if Vader shows up at your house, blew up Alderaan, the Force choking people left and right, and says, "I want X, Y, and Z," no, it's not going to be a good opener because it's like I can just kill you and let Han think that you're alive and you come here and he gets here and he's like, oh look, it's Lando. I broke his neck, and by the way, you're still under arrest. So yes, I acknowledge the impossibility of the situation. I
That's
just
all.
I will just close by saying, dear listeners, I hope that you guys will do some internet research and check to see whether or not Pete was paid off with a case of slit smoke liquor. That's all.
Oh.
That's all I'm going to say in closing, because there's definitely some nobody beats the bull energy in this. But that's it for me. Pete, do you have any closing
No,
thoughts? Or do you,
I actually want to know because this is, the first black character we see in Star Wars. Did it make it frustrating? Because we've talked about this topic a lot of different times, and I can tell you that there have been a number of times in franchises I have loved when I see my first Latino character show up, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like somehow they will find a way to make him a space drug dealer in Star Wars. And you know what? That's exactly what they did. Because when Poe Dameron, we meet him, there's all this
oh
hero stuff. And then
man,
somehow by the rise of Skywalker, he was a spice runner. Because of course. So I'm just saying I didn't have that growing up though. I didn't have that
yeah,
experience growing up.
yeah.
Um,
No, I mean, I will say, yeah, Lando was really frustrating, and so was, and look, I mean, Star Wars is made in the '70s and early '80s. During that time period, Black people kind of openly, kind of jokingly note the fact that it's like there are never Black people in science fiction stories in the future. It's like somehow mysteriously all the Negroes died off before Lightspeed was discovered. So I mean, yeah, it was made better by what they did with Lando and Return of the Jedi. That made a big difference. But I will be 100% honest and call it a buck and say there was never a feeling in my life the way I felt when I saw Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu, but especially in Attack of the Clones, because it was
mhm.
I mean, look, every kid who loves Star Wars, in your heart, you kind of want to crack at being a Jedi. You at least want to, and so to see to see a tall, bald-headed black dude who wasn't that far away from doing Pulp Fiction, and he's playing Mace Windu. It was a beautiful thing. So yeah, and I mean, so they deserve credit for that, and I will say, look, they deserve credit for what they did with Lando in the third movie. We've seen lots of other franchises turn characters like that into very disposable. So
Mhm.
they're to be commended. And so far as Poe is concerned, how they convinced Oscar Isaac to do Moon Knight after that, they must have been like, we will give you final script approval, because I will
Right.
tell
And
you,
a dump truck full of cash.
oh, absolutely. Because on the list of things with Star Wars that I'm irritated about, Poe
Mhm.
ranks like somewhere in the top five. And like Poe's
Mhm.
my list of Poe aggravations is so deep, it's bullet pointed. It's like the one, I should still have a black and orange X-wing for Poe because it was distinctive and it was dope. And you took it from me, and it's whack. Poe, when faced with an impossible situation, what did he do last time? Oh, he flew inside of a planet that had a big laser that killed everybody and everything and handled it like a champ.
I think
Rise
that'll
of,
be our second episode.
Rise of Skywalker. Oh no, we're all gonna die, my friends. I'm so sorry. I'm like, that's not Poe. Poe's like, look, everybody hang on while I try to figure this out. Everybody hit your deflector screens. We're gonna turn this direction. It's gonna be all right. I'm baby. I've got you. So yeah, we should do an episode on that.
We should.
I guess my feelings on Poe are a little bit deeper than I initially thought. So yeah, I think we have to do it. But that is the show for another day. This has been the Rebel Rundown, one of my absolute favorite podcasts that PCU does. One of many. Please check us out at popcultureuncovered.com. Please check us out on YouTube at Pop Culture Uncovered. Check us out wherever you listen to good podcasts. Please, like, listen, and write a review if you feel like it. It helps us out. And I hope you had a good time. Hope you had as much fun as we did chopping it up. Talk to you soon. Have a good one. I would say may the fourth be with you, but I'm sure the fourth is over with wherever you are. So may the 4th of 2027 be with you for a year.